Humans have always needed to send messages over long distances. Before electricity, people found clever ways to communicate. Smoke signals were one such method. Different patterns of smoke could mean different things. A large puff might mean danger. A series of small puffs could signal a meeting. These visual signals were simple but effective for basic messages. They relied on clear weather and a good line of sight. Another ancient method involved using animals. Carrier pigeons were particularly famous for their ability to deliver messages. These birds have an amazing natural homing instinct. They could be trained to fly back to their home loft from hundreds of miles away. Small written notes were attached to their legs. Armies used them extensively in wartime. Merchants used them for business news. Human messengers, or runners, were also crucial. These individuals would physically carry messages from one place to another. Sometimes they ran on foot. Other times they rode horses. Relay systems were often set up. A runner would carry the message to a certain point. Then a fresh runner would take over. Letters written by hand became a more detailed way to send information. Postal systems slowly began to form. The desire for faster, more reliable communication was always present, pushing humanity towards new inventions. The 19th century brought a revolution in communication. This was the invention of the telegraph. Samuel Morse, an American artist and inventor, played a key role. In the 1830s, Morse and his assistant, Alfred Vail, developed a system. This system used electrical pulses to transmit coded messages over wires. The code they developed became known as Morse code. It used a series of dots and dashes to represent letters and numbers. Operators would tap out messages on a telegraph key. At the other end, another operator would listen to the clicks. They would then translate the dots and dashes back into words. The first public telegraph line in the United States opened in 1844. It connected Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. Samuel Morse sent the first official message, "What hath God wrought?" Businesses could now get news much faster. Stock prices, orders, and market information could be shared in minutes, not days. Newspapers could report events from far away almost as they happened. Governments used it for administration and diplomacy. The telegraph changed how wars were fought and how empires were managed. The telegraph network expanded rapidly across America and Europe. Submarine cables were laid under oceans. This connected continents. By the 1860s, a message could travel from London to New York in minutes. The telegraph laid the foundation for all future electronic communication. It proved that electricity could carry information across vast distances almost instantly. While the telegraph was a marvel, it still required skilled operators. It also transmitted only coded messages, not the human voice itself. The next great leap came from Alexander Graham Bell. Bell was a Scottish-born scientist, inventor, and teacher of the deaf. His work on hearing and speech led him to experiment with sending voice signals over wires. On March 10, 1876, a famous event occurred. Bell reportedly spoke into the transmitter. His assistant, Thomas A. Watson, was in another room. Watson heard the words clearly through the receiver. "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." These simple words marked the birth of the telephone. It was a device that could carry the actual sound of a human voice. The invention of the telephone was met with both excitement and skepticism. Early telephones were expensive and not always reliable. The sound quality could be poor, but the potential was undeniable. Businesses quickly saw the advantages. They could communicate with suppliers and customers directly. Early telephone lines were often privately owned or shared party lines. The telephone slowly began to weave its way into the fabric of society, connecting homes and offices. The shift from Morse code to voice communication was significant. It made communication more accessible to ordinary people. Alexander Graham Bell's invention didn't just transmit words, it transmitted presence. It was a profound change in how humans interacted over distances. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw another communication marvel emerge: radio. Scientists like Heinrich Hertz proved the existence of radio waves. Guglielmo Marconi, an Italian inventor, then pioneered wireless telegraphy. He sent Morse code signals through the air, without wires. This was a huge breakthrough. It meant ships at sea could communicate with the shore. It meant messages could reach places where stringing wires was impossible. Marconi's work laid the groundwork for broadcasting voice and music. Radio's ability to transmit voice and music changed everything. Early radio broadcasts were experimental. but they quickly captured the public's imagination. Families would gather around their radio sets. They listened to news, music, drama shows, and comedy programs. Radio became a primary source of entertainment in many households. It brought the world into people's living rooms. Important speeches by leaders could be heard by millions simultaneously. This created a shared national experience. Radio also proved to be incredibly important in emergencies. Ships in distress could send out SOS signals. During natural disasters, radio was often the only way to get information to the public. The development of radio broadcasting created a new industry. The ability to broadcast voices and music through the airwaves transformed society. After radio conquered sound, the next frontier was sight. Inventors dreamed of sending moving pictures through the air. Early experiments began in the 1920s and 1930s. Pioneers like John Logie Baird and Philo Farnsworth made key breakthroughs. They developed systems to scan, transmit, and reconstruct images. These early systems were crude but showed television was possible. Television as a mass medium began after World War II. Electronic systems replaced mechanical ones, improving picture quality. Television sets appeared in homes, rapidly increasing. Families watched news, variety shows, dramas, and sports. Television impacted culture, politics, and daily life. Major moments, like the 1969 moon landing, were shared by millions. Television became a dominant force in advertising. The visual power of television reshaped society. The dream of instant global communication took a giant leap forward with the advent of satellites. While television and radio could cover large areas, true worldwide reach was limited. Transoceanic cables helped, but broadcasting live video across continents was a major challenge. This in turn made it possible to place artificial satellites into orbit around the Earth. The first communications satellite, Telstar 1, was launched in 1962. It successfully relayed the first live transatlantic television signals. Satellites overcame the limitations of Earth-based transmission. They provided a reliable way to send signals over vast distances, connecting distant corners of the world. The late 20th century witnessed the birth of a technology that would redefine communication: the Internet. It began as a U.S. military research project called ARPANET in the 1960s. The goal was to create a decentralized communication network. This network needed to withstand potential attacks. Gradually, it expanded to include universities and research institutions. The development of protocols like TCP/IP allowed different networks to connect. This formed the network of networks that we now know as the Internet. A key early application of the Internet was electronic mail, or email. Email allowed users to send and receive text-based messages almost instantly. The invention of the World Wide Web by Tim Berners-Lee in the early 1990s made the Internet much more accessible. The web introduced user-friendly graphical browsers. People could now easily navigate and view information online. Alongside the rise of the Internet, another revolution was happening in personal communication: the mobile phone. Early mobile phones, sometimes called brick phones, were large and expensive. They first appeared in the 1980s. Their primary function was voice calls. However, they offered the incredible freedom of being reachable while on the move. The digital age was truly dawning. The early 2000s saw mobile phones becoming increasingly common. They could make calls, send texts, and some had basic internet. But the launch of the Apple iPhone in 2007 truly ignited the smartphone revolution. The iPhone combined a mobile phone, an internet communicator, and an iPod into one sleek device. It had a large touchscreen interface. It offered a full web browsing experience. Most importantly, it introduced the concept of mobile apps. These small software programs could be downloaded to add all sorts of new functions to the phone. The iPhone and the subsequent wave of Android smartphones put the power of a computer into people's pockets. Suddenly, everyone had constant access to the internet. They could send emails, browse social media, watch videos, play games, and use GPS navigation, all from a handheld device. Communication became incredibly multifaceted. It wasn't just about voice calls or text messages anymore. It was about sharing photos and videos instantly. It was about video calls with friends and family across the globe. Smartphones have profoundly changed society. They have altered how we work, shop, learn, and socialize. The smartphone has become an indispensable tool for daily life for billions of people. It connects us in ways that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. It represents the culmination of many previous communication technologies, all packed into a device that fits in your hand. The evolution of communication has been a relentless journey towards greater speed, reach, and richness. From smoke signals to smartphones, each innovation has built upon the last. So, what does the future hold? Experts predict even more immersive and integrated communication technologies. Augmented reality (AR) is one area with significant potential. AR could overlay digital information onto our view of the real world. Imagine having a video call where the other person appears as a hologram in your room, or imagine getting instant information about your surroundings just by looking at them through AR glasses. Another fascinating, though perhaps more distant prospect is brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, or even direct brain-to-brain communication. Scientists are already exploring ways for the human brain to interact directly with computers. This could help people with severe disabilities to communicate. In the far future, some speculate that it might be possible to transmit thoughts or complex ideas directly from one mind to another. Artificial intelligence, AI, is also set to play a much larger role in communication. AI-powered translation tools are already breaking down language barriers. AI assistants can manage our messages, schedule our calls, and even draft responses. In the future, AI could facilitate more nuanced and personalized communication experiences. The synergy between AI and communication technologies will likely lead to tools that are more intuitive, intelligent, and integrated into our lives. As we look forward, it is clear that the quest for better communication will continue. The technologies may change, but the fundamental human need to connect, share, and understand one another remains constant. Each new development will bring new opportunities and new challenges. The next chapters in the story of communication promise to be just as transformative. If this journey through time made you pause and reflect, give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe for more eye-opening stories like this.